Hello, welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger and
Kitten!
Kitten. Today's date is Sunday, August 18th, 2024. I wonder why I almost said November 18th. That's scary. No, we don't want to be November 18th.
No, not
August,
yet.
August is good. Although this past few days, the weather has seen a bit of a fall trend, getting cooler, a little bit of rain. Um, Hopefully, we'll have more sunshine left. Uh, Otherwise, it would be an awfully early autumn. That would suck. Um, so before we start today's episode, let me just say this. Okay, today is mostly me and Kitten bitching about an experience we had recently. Um, Speaking of bitching about an experience recently, this morning when we were going out, we had we called a Lyft ride to come pick us up. Some people use Uber, some people use Lyft. We tend to use Lyft more. Okay, so Lyft driver pulled up to where we were standing and saw that we were blind and drove off. What the effing FFF? Insert your own explicit expletives here. Like, I can't even talk. Like, what the hell? And there's no way to, like, because once he drove off, he canceled our ride, and we couldn't even rate him or comment on him and stuff like that. Like, this shouldn't be allowed, okay? Like, this is not part of today's bitching session, but it's just something that came into my head when I was talking about something we need to bitch about, right? This is one of those little aggravations that when you are blind, you run into, and you have no one to be able to talk to make it right, right? We can't even uh, complain to Lyft because we don't have the driver's information anymore once he canceled the ride. So unless you have the foresight to take a screenshot ahead of time and keep that, you're not most likely you're not going to remember the driver's license, the license plate number and the car and all that stuff to be able to report him. Uh, this stuff is just not the first time it happened to us. It's happened to us several times before, and it's just not cool. Okay, not cool. Like, not being picked up because you're blind. Like, I can understand maybe if the driver can't find us and cancel our ride. I can understand if we have a guide dog and the driver has some kind of phobia, and if decide not to pick us up, then okay, it's still not right, but and a little bit more understandable. I can understand if the driver get a better offer halfway to our destination, like to halfway to us, and decide to pick someone else up instead. Okay, that I sort of understand. But to actually pull up in front of us, see us, and then drive away, that is just so effed up. Okay, it's ridiculous. So that was my little segue into bitching session. So like I was saying, this episode will mostly be us complaining and dissecting a situation we had yesterday that I'm very unhappy about. There's not going to be any great wisdom, great psychology, sociology, great relationship jams in this episode. So if you don't want to listen to a couple of frustrated, blind individuals complaining about something, it's okay to skip this episode and come back later. But if you want to listen and get a feel for what is it that make blind people very unhappy sometimes, what is it that can mess up our day, then this is the real stuff. Okay, we are getting pretty real today. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about friendship at the end of the episode because it is relevant. Getting rid of old things can be difficult for me in several factors, in several facets. Uh, Number one is a lot of the stuff I have been with me for a long, long time. Um, I have chairs, tables, I have dressers, I have TV stands, I have stereo system in this house that have been with me since high school time. I'm 42, 43 years old, so they've been with me 20 odd years, and they still work. Um, because for the most part, if they don't work, I have no problem getting rid of them. My motto has always been, "There's no free ride in this house. I'm going to get the most out of you, and when you can not work anymore, when you don't work anymore, I'm going to Mickey Mouse you back together, revive you, to squeeze another year out of you, and when even that's not going to work, then I will throw you away." That sounds very brutal, but that's how I tend to uh, be with things.
Mhm.
I'm not the kind of person that just feel, okay, no, this one's a little bit annoying. Let's go get a new one. I tend to be a little bit attached to uh, old things. I'm a little bit more sentimental to old things, especially things that have been with me for 20 odd years. That when I touch them, when I sit on them, when I work with them, I think, wow, I remember how I felt 20 years ago. I remember 10 years ago when I was uh, starving and broke. Uh, I was using this. Uh, so I tend to get a lot of emotional uh, connection with items, with objects. So getting rid of old things is difficult for me because of my sentimental attachment to them. But also, number two, another reason why I have a hard time getting rid of old things is because a lot of my old things are really, really good things. They may not look it, okay? You guys watch me on video, see some of my faded t-shirt that hardly have any color on them anymore. You might not notice it, but a lot of those t-shirts were t-shirts that cost hundreds of dollars uh, 20 years ago. Like these are name brand good shit, right? So, like, yes, I can go out to Walmart and buy a $20 t-shirt today that looks better, but I guarantee you the material is not going to be as good. And whatever t-shirt I go out and buy today is most likely not going to be as strong. It's not going to last 20 years. I'd be lucky if they last 5 years. Um, the table might not look very good. It's all scarred and pitted and stuff like that. But that was like $5,000 table, genuine Brazil wood from 30 years ago. Uh, and to get rid of something like that, it's almost like throwing money away. It's almost like, wow, like it's like you're having a Ferrari. It's like you're throwing away a Ferrari because it's old. Uh, Even though it's still run, but because it's old, you don't want it anymore, and you want to throw away that. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. That's your personality. But for me, it's like I will not like for the rest of my life. Most likely, I will not buy a $300 T-shirt. I will not never be able to afford a $300 T-shirt, a $1,000 jacket. a $5,000 table, etc., etc. So why would I throw it away? So that's reason number two why it's difficult for me to throw old things away, because a lot of these were really, really good stuff, like left over from when my family used to be rich. Now, some of you, if assuming anyone still listening, you're probably confused at this point. I thought you were going to talk about something that happened yesterday. Why are you talking about connection to old things and attachment to old things? Well, because it is related. Kitten and I have decided to ditch my old $5,000 genuine Brazil wood table that's been serving my family for 30 odd years. Honestly, it's not a very comfortable table. Like, it's one of those tables that used to sit in my father's office as a meeting table. Like my dad had this table in his office for people to sit around and have boardroom meeting. And then when he didn't have an office anymore, he brought it home. And then when I left home, I took it with me because no one was using it. And I loved the table because it was heavy duty, it was beautiful, and it was expensive. Like, you know, as someone who, 17-year-old moving out on my own, you can imagine, like, if you have friends over and they see your genuine Brazil wood table, it's something. Like, it was a showpiece in my little cheapy $500 a month apartment. It made me look high class, So that's why I took it and I kept it all this year. Uh, like I said, it served my family 30 odd years, still holding together. Like it's got scars and dents and stuff like that all over the surface, but it doesn't even wobble. There's no missing parts. There's no missing leg, and uh, nothing's really wrong with it, other than it being a damn uncomfortable table. Because the construction of that table is like a big mushroom, right? It makes sense, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah, kind of like, you know, it's a huge round table about three and a half feet across, uh, and on the bottom there's this central trunk, which means you can't play footsie with anybody. You can't extend your leg under the table. You don't even have anywhere to put your suitcase or anything. Like it's just uh, like a giant thick trunk in the middle of the table underneath, and so it forces you to have to sit up straight and keep your legs crossed or whatever. I don't understand the design logic behind it, right? Um, so that's why Kitten and I finally decided it's time to ditch this table, even though there's nothing wrong with it. Because honestly, I can't wait for it to break. I think that table would outlast me. Like, it's so solid, it's so well constructed. I don't think it would ever actually break, unless there's a fire or earthquake, and it would probably even survive that. Um, so we had to do like a forced retirement. Okay, uncomfortable table, 30-year-old, time to retire it. It's time to get a new table that actually comfortable to sit at. So, this last week, Kitten and I, with the help of a friend, went to IKEA and spent $500. Yeah, $500 getting a new table. The new table, the original price is like $799. It was discounted, so we got it for 502. Really good deal. And it's a nice enough table as far as IKEA go. Nice and solid seeming. 4 foot long, can extend to 6 feet. About 2 feet wide, maybe 2.5 feet wide. Very standard dining table. We also got a bench, a wooden bench to go with it. Uh, I don't know how many of you have had experience with IKEA furniture, it's a nightmare. Okay, shopping at IKEA is a nightmare to begin with. They never keep their things together where you can find them. You got to go look through their furniture display, find the piece you want, and then take a photo, take it to the counter, and they browse on their computer and try to find, oh, the leg is in the B1 section and the tabletop in the B2 section, and so on and so on. Like, it's really complicated, and definitely not something you can do when you're blind without sighted assistance. Uh, and then when you finally get this home, putting it together is even worse. Like I used to say, IKEA furniture is not blind friendly, and then my sighted friend said, "No, dude, they're not sighted friendly either." Like so many of my sighted friends, they refuse to put together IKEA furniture because of how complicated those things are. Um, so we got our new table. It got delivered, and it's sitting inside its box in pieces, uh, waiting for someone to help us put it together. And this begins, finally, this begins our tale of woe yesterday. Like I said, everything leads up to it. Just be patient. Um, a good friend of mine, a good friend of ours, we just call him George, like every time I need a name. So George is very handy with putting together stuff, uh, tables and chairs, very mechanically inclined, so on and so on. George has been friend with us for a long time. I personally have known George for 25 odd years. Really old friend, one of my best friends. George is usually a great guy, usually. Uh, George told us that he was going to come by on Sunday to help us put together the table, and then because we have a few more items we need to hand down at IKEA, George was going to go to IKEA with us on Sunday. So we're going to go finish our shopping and put everything together with George's help, and we would probably help him pay for gas and then buy him dinner and everything. It would be a big happy family, big happy ending. Long story short, I know this is already a really long story. Long story short, suddenly out of nowhere, yesterday, Saturday afternoon, George called us and said, "Hey, change of plan. I have time this afternoon, but I have a lot of things I need to do tomorrow. Can I come and we go do the shopping and do the table today?" I said, "Yeah, okay, cool. We're flexible. Uh, let's do that." Before George got here, I decided, well, I'm going to make it easy for everybody. I'm not going to make George do everything. So I dismantled the old table, moved all the furniture, muscled that old table out to the garage so it wouldn't be in the way. And it was a hell of a lot of work. Like I said, genuine Brazil wood table, really heavy. Like just the tabletop alone must have weighed like 80 pounds. I couldn't even lift it. I have to roll it uh, out. Luckily, it's a round table. Um, yes, I can. I can lift 80 pounds, but when it's a tabletop 3 feet across, it's nothing to grab onto. That's a totally different matter.
And difficult to get through a door frame.
Exactly. And try not to squash cats while that was going on. Um, So I moved those furnitures, muscled that table out into the garage, muscled the new table into the kitchen
In its box.
in its box.
Yeah.
It's also pretty heavy, nowhere as heavy as the old table, but I would say 40 pound, 50 pound, and big box, big tabletop, really awkward again. Um, by the time George got here, I was like exhausted. I was sweating and out of breath, but I was happy. Right? I was happy that I finally made the decision, buy a new table, and today we were going to enjoy our new table. Everything was going to be fine. Right? We went to IKEA to finish our shopping. It was 2 in the afternoon. The IKEA was like a zoo. on a Saturday. It was not a good time to be at IKEA. It was hot, it was crowded, people shouting and pushing everywhere, cars and children and things that probably weren't even children. Anyway, uh, it was claustrophobic and it was really, really crazy. Um, and when we got to IKEA, we wanted to use the elevator because Kitten has a shunt in her head from an old surgery, and going up and down stairs really messes with the pressure in her head. We told George that. George is not new to this, but George decided that we were going to take the stairs because he couldn't be bothered to ask someone where the elevator was. So we had to struggle our way up the stairs. Very, very tedious process for Kitten, and very, very painful for me to witness. Uh, and then we got to the top. I said to George, when we go back down, let's find the goddamn elevator. Let's not do this again. We were looking over the place for what we needed, couldn't find anything. George, stubborn as hell, refused to ask for help. Uh, and we were just wandering aimlessly, blindly, excuse the expression, wandering blindly around the store with George. And this was getting to be 3 o'clock. And then suddenly George said to me, actually, George's girlfriend said to me, George didn't even say it. George's girlfriend said to me, uh, we need to be in another city by 4 o'clock. We haven't. We have to go to the casino with family. We have a date with family to go to a casino. I almost lost my shit. Okay, like you guys know, I'm generally very even keeled. I'm very even tempered, but I almost lost my shit.
He is more so than I am. So that says how much pressure it was.
Like you call me and say you have time this afternoon. Let's do this, and you don't tell me that you have a deadline. You don't tell me that you have to be somewhere else at 4 and 3 o'clock already, and we haven't even done anything. We haven't been able to find anything. We haven't even put the table together, and you have to be in another city, rush hour traffic on a Saturday. You kidding me? So when we caught up to George, I very gently, very tactfully, I said, "Hey, uh, your lady said you have to be in Surrey by 4. It's 3:09. You sure we are okay?" George was like, "Oh yeah, 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 oh yeah, that that's family stuff. Go to the casino. We'll be fine. We'll be fine." Okay, I knew we weren't going to be fine, but okay, what was I supposed to say? 3:45, we were still at IKEA. We still hadn't found shit. And by this time, we were very much in a hurry to get out of there because they have to drive to another city. Needless to say, George did not want to stop and find the elevator. We had to fight our way down those stairs and go through that painful experience all over again. Okay? Getting home and didn't even say, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I can't put your table together." I'm like nothing like that. Just, "Oh, next weekend if we have time, we can do your table. Bye." I was standing here in the kitchen. There's no table. Remember, I dismantled the old table, took it outside. New table sitting in its box. And I was like, "What the fuck am I going to do now?" Luckily, I remember that I have a folding camp table that I use for art projects and art workshops. I went and dragged it in from the garage, and Kitten and I cleaned it up and set it up so we have something to use as a dinner table for the rest of the week. I was really, really, really angry at that point. I thought that if I gave it some time, I would feel better about it. I would be more understanding of George. After all, he's a friend. He was here to help, and we should be grateful that he was here making an attempt, and maybe he just forgot about his family obligation and so on and so on. Yeah, yeah. I kept telling myself all that stuff. But you know what? By the time dinner time came around, Kitten and I sitting across the plastic folding table, across from each other. I was dead tired from all this moving things in, moving things out, taking things apart, walking around IKEA for almost an hour. I did not feel better. Yet in my head, I was thinking, I finally uh, decided to ditch my beautiful, old, genuine Brazil wood table and get a new table. I spent $500 and the table is sitting here inside a box and we are eating at a plastic table. That is not cool, okay? That is not a good feeling. Like I felt like it's a bit of an idiot. I felt like why didn't I just leave things alone? Why did I bother trying to get a new table? Why didn't I just be okay with this old table? With the old table everything was fine. Why did I do this? So this lead to the finale, basically, of what I want to talk about is a friendship. Uh, like I said, George and I have known each other 25 odd years. We're really, really close friends. I think this is part of what pisses me off the most about this experience because of the inconsideration and lack of loyalty shown here. A handful of years ago, another friend and I were having a conversation, and he said to me, he said, Johnny, why is it that I have such a hard time finding friends? Every time I think I make a friend, they end up being disappointments. And I remember saying to him, I said, dude, it's not their problem. The problem comes from you because you expect friends to give you what you would give them. You set yourself on a very high standard and you expect the same high standard from other people when they become your friend. And when they fail to meet that standard, you are hurt and disappointed. Now, why was I able to instantly pinpoint the problem? Because I am the same way. When I am friend with someone, very good friend with someone, like obviously I wouldn't be that way with like someone I just met on the street yesterday. But let me put it this way: if today was me uh, going to help a blind friend putting together a table, number one, I would not disregard their need for elevator. I would go to great lengths to make sure they find the damn elevator. I would say, okay, guys, I don't know where the elevator is, but you guys stay here so you don't have to walk around. Let me run ahead. I'll go find the elevator and I'll come back and get you. I would do that. I would call the store. I would call the store. Hey, I got a couple of blind guy here, blind people here. We need the elevator. Where's your damn elevator? Right? I would not force them to go up and down those stairs, especially when I witnessed firsthand how painful it is for one of them in this case. Okay, that to me, this is what a friend would do. That's what a friend would do. When you are a friend of ours for 25 years and you know how painful this experience is, and you still made us go through this not just once but twice within 1 hour, what kind of friend are you? Number two, if I was helping a blind guy with a table, especially when I know that this blind person needs us for dinner table and work table, and they already dismantled their old table. Come hell or high water, I would make them finish that table on the day that I say I was going to. Okay, if I had a date with my family about, especially when in this case it's not like he has a brain surgery. Okay, going to the casino, it to me is not a valid excuse. But if I had a date with my family to go to the casino, I would call my family and say, hey, look, you guys go ahead without me. I'll meet you guys at the casino because I need to help my friend with their table. Otherwise, they have nowhere to eat dinner. Okay? That's what I would do. But to just leave it and say, oh, well, maybe next week we'll find time to help with the table. What kind of friend are you? Number three, even if I wasn't able to wiggle out of the family obligation, the family engagement, I would say to my friend, in this case, I would say to my friend, look, I'm really sorry. I have to step away for a couple of hours, but I will come back tonight and finish your table. Okay? I'm sorry. I'll buy you dinner. I'll buy you a pizza. But I'll come back and finish your table when I come back from casino. That's what I would do at the very least. Not leave it till next week. Again, what kind of friend are you? Especially when we've been friends for 25 years. You leave me in this kind of a situation. Not cool.